What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting all the way across the city from me this week and every week, he's the King of all VR kings. He's the spooky king himself. It's Jeremy King.
Nice. Spooky. And all the way, very spooky. And all the way up at the very top of the towers of Worcester. You know, to get to him, you have to go through some dreaded halls. Is Brian Paul.
I thought you were going to bring up some Spider-Gates references for a second there. And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, maybe next week, we pull a game out of the PSVR arcade. We play the crap out of it. We check into it, see if it's been given any love by developers, any updates, any DLC. Then we let you know, the loyal game cats, if it's worth your time. That being said, Mr. King, what game did we decide to play this week?
This week, we decided to play Dreadhalls.
Dreadhalls by White Door Games, only available on PlayStation VR as part of the Herocade collection. So if you're looking for this, search for Herocade. Released April 18th, 2017 for $14.99, $15 game. Has only been on sale twice ever. The best one of those was a Plus exclusive sale where the $15 game was on sale for $9. Herocade contained 9 games. Again, it's a compilation, it's a collection, but we are only focused on Dreadhalls for this episode. So that being said, what kind of game is Dreadhalls?
Survival horror type of labyrinth game.
Yeah, I think AJ would call it a run for your life simulator.
Yeah, that works.
I like the whole haunted house sim genre. I feel like that's kind of creating its own genre in VR right now. You can either play like kind of the campaign, the story, kind of structured mode, or random mode. Tell me a little bit about the structured campaign, we'll call it.
So the structured campaign is like, I guess you just kind of wake up in this place. You got to collect 4 human eyeballs. And I got to tell you, I know there was some sort of a story involved in this title, but surviving was my main concern. Yeah. And finding the eyeballs to like open the next gate to move on to the next randomly generated map area for me to find another eyeball, and escape was my main concern. So story-wise, there was something in there.
Yeah, you're not alone, man. I don't think anyone cares about the story in this. It tries to do something story-wise, but it's really just a really shallow excuse to force you to tread these halls of dread.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Holy shit.
In the story mode, kind of takes you through, like, kind of introduces you to different monsters and sort of gives you an idea of how to circumvent them and what to do if you encounter them, right?
Yeah. But they'll give it to you in hindsight. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it seemed like they'd give me the warning if I'd spotted an enemy, and it would say, "Ooh, some react to light," and then other times I would die, and then it'd be like, "Ooh, some react to light." You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah. So I guess next time I gotta extinguish my torch. Yeah. So yeah.
And the torches, the torch is basically lit all the time. It's just it's your only source of light. It's if the torch goes out, if you run out of oil, it gets really dark in these hallways.
Oh yeah.
But I guess that leads us right into the things that you're picking up as you explore this place, right? What kind of things are we finding around the halls?
Well, pretty easy. You're picking up scrolls that give you a little bit of story to other people that got trapped in there and scribbled something before dying.
That's right.
And then you pick up coins, which you use these coins at these like Medusa-looking statue face things that are here or there, and they just answer one of like 4 or 5 different questions, and that's basically it. And way more coins than necessary, I think, of the game. Yet I had to pick up every one of them. I had to.
Yeah.
And then lockpicks. You pick up lockpicks because when you get to certain doors, there's a certain lock and a color dictates how long it'll take for you to pick the lock. But you have this ability with these lockpicks at a certain point when these 2 things align to use a lockpick to speed up the unlocking of the door, because there's going to be times you're going to want to get through a door pretty goddamn quick.
Yeah, did you end up using lockpicks a lot? I've got to ask you this.
Barely at all.
Yeah.
Barely ever.
I was too terrified to use them.
I know, right? But the same in any Elder Scrolls. I used to pick up lockpicks and hoard them. Like, it was insane. but I barely use them. Same with this game. Like I picked them up, but I barely used them because I knew it's like time behind me. It's like, oh, something's there. I got to get through the door. But like I would just hold the button and wait. I never would just be like, okay, now,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, something with that disconnect at the time. I panicked. And then the last thing you pick up is oil, or more oil for your lantern.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're playing through the game, if your lantern starts to dim, then you
Yeah.
can, I believe it's triangle to bring up your inventory, and you just kind of look at the thing that you want to use. It's all it's all gaze based, right? So am I remembering this properly?
Yeah. Just look and let go.
Look and let go. Right.
Yeah.
So you actually can refuel your lantern really fast. Like triangle, look left, let go, boom, done.
Oh, super quick. Yeah.
Right. And
It's no real concern.
it's always awful when you hit triangle, look, and nothing happens because you're out of oil. You're like, damn it. That's really,
There was times you ran out of oil.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
I actually never ran out of oil. I think at the least I got down was like 9 little canisters was
God.
like the lowest.
God, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
During
a
some
lot
of
of
the
times I would turn it off a lot and I'd walk in the dark and then turn it
Smart.
back on when I get to big hallways, you know.
That's way
'Cause
smarter than me. Way smarter than me. I'm like I've got mine on constantly because I'm terrified, and the second it starts to flicker at all, I'm like, no,
yeah,
refuel, refuel, refuel. Let's do this. I
in
was
the beginning I did.
not conservative at all.
Yeah, in the beginning I was pretty much like I wanted that thing fucking bright. And then towards the middle I started getting a little bit braver with shutting it off here and there when I wasn't utilizing, and then towards the end I was shutting it off, roaming the halls, but I mean, like, still getting the shit. I mean, I'm talking like I must have yelled so many times and gotten so frightened that I got that head heat that you get. You know what I'm talking about? Like your head gets hot, and then it felt like I could feel the condensation immediately after the scare forming around, and I'd have to like ventilate my eyes
That's awesome.
from the fright. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I got a lot more in the hands. Like I'd be holding the DualShock and I'd be like, "Why is this thing slippery?" I was like, "Oh, because I'm sweating profusely through my hands. I can't even hold the DualShock." Yeah,
Yeah.
DualShock 4 only. We should probably say it is.
Yeah.
It's which is perfect because I think right after launch they did add a patch that involved that gave us like some nice fast smooth turning for this. And so I think the DualShock 4 works pretty good for full locomotion and whatever controls you need it to do.
Yeah, it's fairly basic for what's needed in this game. The controls, I think, work perfectly. You know,
Yeah.
it's very little, even with the map. Like you have a map in your hand. It's very much like what was it, Etrian's Odyssey? Were those the old Game Boy games where you'd kind of like move through the map and the corridors, and as you go, your map would get unlocked, and you'd kind of like draw the map out of where you were. And but this game was very much like that. You glanced down, your map popped up, so you knew you were headed, and you got to explore all the rooms till you find that one room with the eyeball to get out.
Yeah.
You know.
And yeah, you nailed it, man. That is it. The auto map feels great because a lot of these hallways look very similar, and so if that map didn't exist, I'd still be in there. I'd be like, I'd be lost. I'd never getting out because I have no sense of direction anyway. But on top of that, no, this filling in by itself. Whenever I think of a good auto map, I always think of like Symphony of the Night. But this just being there without even having to push a button, you kind of gaze down and the map pops up and you're like perfect, and then you look back up, the map goes down. That's really convenient. So
And
I enjoyed that.
Very seldom did it ever pop up when I didn't want it to. Like you're like, no, not yet. No, come on, stop. I'm trying to pick up the oil. You know, like that happened a few times, but not enough to make it like, oh, I wish this wasn't an option. Like I liked the fact because I mean, can you imagine if you had to hold a button or pull a button out to like pull up that map? It would be constant because you're constantly referencing that thing like this. I mean, I'm almost doing this constantly.
Right.
You know.
I'm a little torn because, to be honest with you, I thought it felt pretty good in Falcon Age to be running around and being just having a map in your hand and like clicking it and it goes away, click it comes back, you know. And also, yeah, I ran into that a few times myself where I'm trying to pick something up, and in either the map pops up and blocks my view, or the game really wants you to face in the direction, like not turn and face. It wants you to actually your body in the game to be facing the item that you want to pick up, because if you're like this and you see it over here and you hit X, it's not going to pick it up.
is a very small, narrow window. I
Right.
mean, it's almost like a straight line, from you had to be right on it for it to pick it up.
Yeah.
And within a certain, height range, it was like almost like a box, like a hidden
Oh, here we go
reticle.
again. It's
There we go.
every episode.
What is it?
Reticle.
What's the word?
Reticle. And
Reticle. I was almost
it's
right.
not rectical. It's
How
every episode.
to get those?
And
Yeah.
this is why though that I like move support for me. I would have been like, oh, you know what? This is actually move support would have been okay with this. Give me a couple of hands, make me feel defenseless. We talked about that on last week's
Hmm.
episode. No Way Out. Having hands in games makes me feel more vulnerable and let me reach
Yeah.
out. And even if I don't have to like grab the item, at least let me Walking Dead onslaught the item like by pulling the trigger and like have it go like right into my hand kind of thing.
Hmm.
So updated move controls would be great, but I'm certainly not complaining. I feel like the game controls pretty well.
Yeah. Just roaming the halls. I mean, with the traditional first person shooter type of controls, it's such an ancient control scheme that it felt comfortable in this format. So I didn't
Yeah.
feel disconnected. I still felt immersed because it was just comfortable,
Right.
familiar.
Yep. Hold R2 to run, and
Yeah.
then hear your character run out of breath very quickly, and then slow the
Very
fuck down at
quickly.
the worst time.
Oh my God, you had to use that sprint sparingly. I used to do the pulse like run, let go, run, let
Yeah,
go,
me too.
run, let go,
Yeah.
just like da, 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 down the hall. And then
Yeah.
when you'd hear the music swell up, you're like, yay, yay. And you look behind. Oh my God, and the varying enemy types. I don't know if we want to get into that
I
yet.
think we want to get into that right now. We want to get that
Cool.
right now. We actually real quick though we were sort of talking about the campaign and then we just like went right into everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The other part of this is as soon as you're done with the campaign, which doesn't take very long. How long did it take you to beat?
God, a little over an hour. I'd say an hour and 15, 20 minutes, somewhere in that ballpark.
I must have gotten lost way more than you did because it took me like 2 hours, I think, to finish that. And then,
Really? I did
yeah,
luck out. There was, like, did you ever have any times where you were going through and it was like you made it through like 30% of the map and found the room with the eyeball?
unfortunately, not during the campaign, but
Ah,
during the other part of this game, which is the basically the random maps.
the random maps, yeah.
That'll happen all the time. Sometimes you. It's like the first room you walk into. It's like here's the exit. You're like, sweet, I'm done. Get out of here. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And then other times, like I've explored every bit of this map. Where the hell's the exit? And then you finally, it's the very last tiny box, like in the corner of the map that you find. I really do think that the randomly generated maps is the core of the game because the beginning just teaches you how to play, and then
Hmm.
this just throws everything at you, like the everything and the kitchen sink. It's just like
Yeah.
it's crazy because
I
it's
liked at the end how to, after each generated random map, they would show you your travel path, how long it took you, and how
yeah,
many items you found. I like that.
the percentage of the map you found or
Yeah.
uncovered, which I tried. I was doing a live stream the other night, and I was trying to do 100% some of the maps, 100% some of the items, and I couldn't do it, man, because it's like I think I explored every part of it, and it's like 88%. I'm like, damn it! It's so, I think you
I
have to kind
missed
of like,
something.
yeah, like really like hug the walls all the time to make sure
Well,
that
see,
like every bit unlocks perfectly.
I'm so trained to hug the walls. I do like one of these with every kind of map where there's a fog of war, and it was all the way back with like Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate.
Jesus.
I'd have to unlock every bit of the map. So even this game, it's the same thing. As soon as I had that map, like I would try to do this and unlock everything, but I mean, this game scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
So there was, times as soon as I found that eyeball, I was through the door. I wouldn't just be like, all right, I'm going to come back
Oh
here
yeah, yeah,
and
for
unlock.
sure.
No, I was gone and I lucked out twice. I must have shaved 20 minutes, because times after minutes, I found the room within the first beginning few stages,
Yeah.
not later on.
So
Hmm.
so the randomly generated stuff that yeah, the only goal is to find that final room that has an eyeball on a pedestal. You pick that thing up and then boom, the door opens and you're out of there.
Out. Yeah.
But let's finally talk about all the reasons we don't want to explore the rest of the map. And that is
Yeah.
all the monsters in this game.
So before we explain which ones, what was the scariest one for you? What one frightened you the most?
That's tough, man. I mean, I'm gonna say the witch. The witch frightened me the
Oh,
most
for real?
because
Okay.
sometimes I'd open a door and she'd be standing right there, and to kind of help out the people who haven't played the game. Every single monster, every single enemy type has something you're supposed to do to survive your encounter with it. Sometimes it's just run away as fast as possible, but sometimes,
Yeah.
like the witch, I'll open the door and she'll be standing there facing you, and the thing you have
She's
to
like
do,
right there,
right? The
It's
thing
like,
you have to do
"Ugh."
to not get killed by her is to not look her in the face. Like, you're not supposed to acknowledge her, you're not supposed to look at her. And so
Yeah.
like, so you see her and you're like, ah, and then you're like, oh wait, I don't have to run away, I just have to go through this room with my back to her, and it's just you're creeping
And
around the
it's
room.
frightening.
And as you turn around the room, you're like, don't look at her, don't look at her,
Uh-huh.
don't look at her.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
trying to pick up items, and I can see like her leg right here next to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just pick
Oh.
up the items, pick up the items, don't look at her. And so, yeah,
And
so
then if she does see you, oh yeah, forget it.
yeah,
It's so fucking freaky.
yeah. Which one freaked you out the most?
So this was a toss up. The one that was the most simple, and then one that wasn't so much, and I can't decide which one frightened me the most because I would just be like, "Grr," to both of them. The goddamn gargoyles,
Mm-hmm.
simple ass gargoyles, where you just churn, and then all of a sudden the gargoyle statue would be like, "Churn this way," and you're like, "Okay," and then you'd move a little bit and turn. They'd be right here, and you're like, "Grr,"
Right.
and then you'd move a little bit, and it just got me almost every time. My head would just get hot. But then the one was like Pan's Labyrinth looking dude,
Yep.
like that one that used to roam the hallways that was sensitive to light. So you'd have to kill your lantern
Mm-hmm.
and just like run in the dark. That thing, like as you came around the corner, you'd be like, oh, it just was so freaky looking.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So creepy.
But yeah, super scary. Those are both really scary. I'm still a little bit confused, honestly, about the smoke monsters.
Yeah, because this seemed like there were two type of smoke monsters.
Oh.
Ones that when you would like kind of look at them, they'd dissipate and they'd be gone. And then other ones that would do that like screechy like sound as they'd fucking like come right at you and like keep moving at you, and you'd be like, oh my God, and you just have to run, and they'd keep pursuing you. So
I think
I
they're
don't
the
know.
I think they're the same one. I could be wrong, but I think they're the same one. And
Yeah,
so if they start chasing you, yeah, they make that noise like, and then the second
yeah,
later,
yeah,
and you're like, and the sound is so amazing in this game. You can actually tell how far away they are behind you by the
yeah.
by the volume of their screams when they're coming at
Hmm.
you. And so if every time they scream when they're chasing you, it gets quieter and quieter. It's almost like
Yeah.
counting the seconds between lightning and thunder,
Lightning, yeah.
right?
You
Yeah.
say,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, it's so insane. But then I'd certainly be in a room with the smoke monster and just like, and trying not to pay attention, just being like, oh, is it dissipating? Is it dissipating? Oh, it's dissipating. Okay, run over, pick up the items, get the fuck out of here now.
Get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the giant hairless rat looking pink rat thingy that would roam the halls.
It's like
That thing was freaky.
it's like I always thought it was like more of a dog. But yeah, no, you're right. It is very hairless rat
Oh,
like.
yeah.
And you have to just run.
You just that one you have to run. It doesn't matter turning off your lantern
Yep.
or having the lantern on. That thing just saw you and it would come after you, and you'd
It,
have to run and duck down the quickest hallways you possibly could.
right? And it's
You
so
know.
big that like, yeah, getting down a smaller hallway is the only way to get away from him, because you can't run
Yeah.
around him. He's too big. He takes up the whole hallway.
Yeah. You fucked.
So during my stream the other night, the only way to get where I needed to go was to follow him down the hallway.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
was behind him and I was like, oh God, I'm like scared to even breathe, even though this thing doesn't do voice recognition. I was like, please, please, please don't turn around. Please don't turn around. And we get to the end of the hallway and he went right out, like went left so fast. Oh, it was,
Yeah. I had to follow one of those like Pan's Labyrinth looking things down a hall once. That thing's got like a unit. That thing was like well endowed. Well, I guess what is he, a minion of Satan? Who knows? So he blessed him somehow.
there you go.
Um,
There you go.
and then
Sounds worth it, I think. Yeah.
yeah, right. And then with the other enemy that I didn't encounter that much
Hmm.
were those things that were like the bombs from the Final Fantasy series. The angry bombs. They look like those. They were like big brainy globe things that were. One came up from a well for me once before and just kind of was like
Oh,
with the
wow.
face, like the Majora's Mask moon face.
Hmm.
He had that angry face. But
Like
I
a
don't know what
floating
they
meatball.
did. Yeah, it was pretty much a floating meatball.
Well, they're
I don't know what they reacted to.
they're basically sentries, and so if they look at you If they look right at you, you can't move. You can't even turn your head. You have to wait for them to look in a different direction and then
Okay.
dart out of there. But the
I see.
second they turn and look at you, you just got to stay still until they look somewhere else. Because
Hmm.
it's so tough to survive them if they come after you. If they see you, it's like, boom, done.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like most of the enemies, they really don't give you many second chances in this game.
No, no. The one touch, you're dead. You got to start over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I need you to rank this for me as far as we've both played a lot of scary games for this channel and
Hmm.
of course for in VR. I need you to rank this for me. Like if we were doing a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the scariest, right, and like 10
Hmm.
being probably Resident Evil 7, I'm guessing, right, and
Yeah.
one being, I mean, I don't even know the
I mean,
Bellows. I
like,
guess I have no idea.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like where does this rank for you?
So I must say that this gave me more jump scares in a condensed amount of time that it was, I don't know if Resident Evil 7 or this one is scarier to me. Like they both were like, because Resident Evil just like graphically, story wise, it just is like perfection.
Yeah.
And this one's like the little engine that could, but it got me there. And without all that razzle and dazzle, I still jumped and laughed and like was just got my head hot. I mean, games don't do that, but this one did. So I don't know if it's either Resident Evil or this title for me
Yeah.
for how scary, you know.
I will say, just my 2 cents on it is that at first, for the first hour or so, like whenever I jump into Dreadhalls, it's the scariest thing I've ever played. But for
Yeah.
me, after like a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, that moment to moment fear starts to dissipate,
Hmm.
and I'm not on the edge of my seat anymore. I'm not sweating. I I only get scared when something surprises me. Like
Yeah.
the constant terror fades away pretty quickly. And so that's
Okay.
why Resident Evil is still the top for me because it keeps bringing you to new areas and you just never know what to expect next. And after a
Hmm.
while, you do get accustomed to Dreadhalls, where it's like I know every single type of enemy, and even though they're going to scare me when I see them, I know how to deal with them.
Good point. Very good point.
And with that, I think we should rate this sucker.
I believe we should. Yeah.
What's our rating scale?
One, you need this title. Get it now. Stop listening to us and just download it and make the purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Two is finish the video. You can listen to us talk and then go wait, see if it's on sale. If it's not, just wait. Maybe there'll be a third time it'll go on sale since it's released.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Let's hope.
Don't forget for that $15, you're getting another 8 games too. You can't discount that.
Yes, you can. These are awful games for the most part.
Yeah, I haven't dug deep into those. And then three is forget it. Just save your money. Don't even bother. Buy yourself a bag of candy. It's October. You'll enjoy the candy more than this fucking piece of shit, hard ass frozen Charleston Chew game.
That's
So what would you
awesome.
rate this sucker?
Wait, are frozen Charleston chews bad? That sounds delicious.
They hurt. They hurt your teeth if you. I haven't had one in a
Oh,
long time.
I feel like I just gnaw on one for like an hour.
That's what my father used to do. Frozen Charleston Chews once in a while, way back when in the mid 90s.
I just realized how inappropriate that was. So here's the thing, man. I'm first of all, I'm really sad that that Dreadhalls is sort of trapped behind this wall of other really inferior games. You know, you might find something that you really kind of like in this, and that you can spend like an hour or so with in this compilation, like the
Mhm.
turkey shooting game. I mean, I spent way more. It's such a crappy little shooter, and I spent way too much time with that thing. And so you can find some enjoyment out of these other games, but this one specifically is the star of the show. And I feel like we've talked about Dreadhalls so frequently that I feel awful for people when they go and type Dreadhalls into the PlayStation Store or search for it in the VR section and it's not there because it's hidden under the name Herocade. It just sucks, man. I feel awful for these developers, and I feel awful for this game not getting the recognition it deserves, at least on PSVR. But I will say that I mean it is terrifying. We talked a little about the sound, about that one smoke monster specifically, but man, just walking down these hallways with the headphones in and just hearing, it seems like even after hours of playing, I kept hearing new sound effects. Like, I was walking, I
Yeah.
was like, well, what is that? What is it? Who's whispering behind me? Like, what is going on? So it does, there are these things. I said, after 45 minutes or an hour, the moment to moment walking around isn't terrifying anymore. But every
Mhm.
so often they throw something at you like that. You're like, what is that noise? What is coming down the hall right now? I am terrified. And so, man, this is for me, this is like absolutely, this is a one because I just loved every minute of it because it was so terrifying. It's the core gameplay is so simple,
Mhm.
but there's still a lot going on, and it just feels good to play. I love this, man. I love this. It's like this is. I'm so happy we have this. I can't get enough of it. And even watching other people play, AJ plays this every Saturday night, basically on his Viewers Choice live stream that he does on his channel PSVR Underground. And
Mhm.
he just plays whatever people ask him to play. And every week, people request him to play this because it's just so much fun to watch other people play Dreadhalls. That like, whether you're playing it or you're watching someone else play it, it is absolutely one. It's always a blast.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Nice. So, I got to admit, I was nervous. You gave me a good warning. You're like, okay, we're going to cover Dreadhalls, and it's in something called Herocade. There's other games you're only going to play Dreadhalls, you know?
I don't want you wasting
So
your time.
I get in there, and first of all, it's like, what the fuck is this? It's like some VR unit. Oh, we are going to upload what it's like for at the base of VR. All this crap. And I'm like, I got to get through this to like
So
play the game.
bad. Yeah.
Oh, it
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of like, old compilations back in the 90s where you'd buy a compilation, one of your favorite bands was on, but you had like 12 other real shit bands that but you could at least skip to them, skip to the one you like. And anyway, so this was kind of like that. It's like, oh, it's an old shitty compilation, but on a 7-inch compilation. So I had to listen to all the songs because it's a record. Um, but finally getting there, and it's like you have to hit the back button to like even progress forward to get to Dreadhall's menu, and then you get into the game, and it's a basic visually. It's fairly basic. They want you to feel confined and like you're in a hall. Because that's the whole goddamn. It's in the title, halls.
Yeah.
So I think that visually, it it did what it was supposed to do. It didn't blow the doors off of anything. It was like we mentioned this once a long years ago, but for some reason it reminded me of that old Xbox and PC game Arx Fatalis.
Mm-hmm.
Fatalis,
Wow.
remember that game?
Yep. I think you and I are the only two people that know what that game is.
I think we're the only ones that have played it.
Probably.
You know, but I don't know why, but it reminded me of that. And so going through the halls, it did what it needed to do. The lighting and how they had to flicker and get dim, and they had, sometimes gusts of winds that would blow out your lantern. And then they had the element where you had a lockpick. They had just enough things in place to slow you down as you progress through these halls and avoided these other things that it all just fell into place so nicely and it was so basic and they didn't try to overdo anything. And I liked how there was like, whatever how many enemies, and they each had their own way of reacting to the simple things you had on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like one liked no light, one liked light, one liked no sound. Don't look at this one. Like they just, and it was so basic, but they threw enough at you so you could be running down the hall, encounter a big hairless rat, and you're like, oh my god, and you turn down the hall, and then all of a sudden there's one of those Pan's Labyrinth things, and you're like, oh my god, so you got to turn your light off and just walk quietly and slowly and try to get by him quick, turn your lamp on, run. I mean, they had so much going on, but don't run too much because then you get out of breath and you'll walk. So I mean, they did so much with so little,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot, even though like the price point, even for 15, if none of those other games existed, this is so goddamn well worth the $15. I had a blast. I thought it was creepy. It freaked me out at times, and like, yes, I guess like you're right. Um, the more I played it, the more used to I of everything I got besides the jump scares. They got me every single time.
Yeah, same.
And with Resident Evil, like a lot of the things more disgusted me or like, oh, that's gross. Oh, like, but like that jump heat that I would get from like my body being like, something's wrong, Jeremy. Like Resident Evil, even though it had everything in a wonderful package, it didn't give me my instinct, that fear of something's happening, Jeremy, that you need to run from. And this little engine that could did that, you know. So I mean, without a doubt, this for me is a one. I had an absolute blast playing it. I thought it was so much fun. This is a title, actually, my oldest daughter had, and she usually doesn't, I don't usually play any kind of VR games in front of her, but this game
Yeah.
was so scary to me to play, but not visually scary, like gross, gory nastiness. You know what I
Right.
mean? It wasn't like a frightening. My 12-year-old, we'll call her 12. She'll be 12 in like less than a month and a quarter, you know? But she thought it was a ball. She was like, Dad, can you play that game again? Like like you were saying, she loved watching me play it. Cause like I would be like, oh my God, like it just scared me, but
Listen, I've
so
seen
yeah.
I've seen you. We've all seen you play the Persistence and watch what happens when you get scared, and you don't hold back your words. Did you have to censor yourself when you got scared while she was watching you, or did you let a
Yeah,
few slide?
I let there was a few. I said shit a few times. It slipped. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I mean, sugar. It did happen a couple times. But again, she's almost a teen. She's heard the word shit.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, you're her dad. On
Yeah.
top of it all,
And I think that's part of the fun of her watching me play, is like if I'd slip.
that's
you
funny,
know.
man. That's really funny. We, I mean,
But
we
yeah,
we didn't even talk about like in that in the random mode. Like sometimes there would be four enemies in a room or something. There was one
yeah,
time I was stranded because I couldn't run away from that I keep calling him the meatball, the floating
the
sentry.
floating meatball. Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't move because he was staring at me. And as I was waiting for him to turn, like a smoke monster appeared, one of those demons appeared, Pan's Labyrinth, and another smoke
yeah,
monster appeared. And I was like, "This is insanity!" I'm like, "I'm just gonna run," and I ran. And I don't know how I survived, but I did. And it's just, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You're like, "There's no way! Like I totally get out by the skin of my teeth." Like that is
right.
you. I don't feel that in many games. But when you're just
Yeah,
like this, I'm facing impossible odds right now, and I managed to survive just because I ran past. It's like,
right.
all right, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah,
This
no,
this this is what October means to me. That is
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. This was a good one. This was a fun one. It was just the right amount of jump scares to make it like a blast to play.
that's awesome.
Really good. Yeah,
I'm really, really happy you enjoyed this one. And of course, next week we will be back to talk about more scary games for the entire month of October. We're going to cover scary PSVR games.
yeah,
This one was a great one. Last week, not so
yeah.
much. Hopefully, next week will be another great one. We'll definitely keep you posted.
Hmm.
For that, oh yeah, let us know. I forgot how we end the show. I always forgot to end the show. In the comments below, let us know what you thought of Dreadhalls, or I mean, fuck man, let's just go with Herocade. Are there any games on Herocade that you found
Yeah.
redeeming? But
Maybe we're
also,
missing something.
oh, I played them all. I promise you. But there, again, yeah, some if you let yourself enjoy them, there might be something there. But let us know what you thought of Herocade and Dreadhalls in the comments below. Also, let us know what other games you want us to play. Like I said, it's all spooky games all October long. But as soon as October's over, man, it's back to business as usual. So let's enjoy it
Yeah,
while we
really.
can.
Yeah.
For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. That guy's Jeremy King,
And that guy's Brian Paul.
and we love you all.